Wow, there's so much water here. I tell you what, you need an amphibious vehicle. Yep. We're going to find those lands somewhere. What a turn up for the books. Here we are, trying to find Kabibi and Cloudy Eye, searching. And what do we find? We find a lioness with two tiny, in the palm of your hand, cubs. I just love seeing little cubs of this kind of age. I mean, they look like spotted teddy bears, terribly cute, crawling, but not yet able to stand up and walk. The eyes have opened, and that normally happens at any time between sort of 7 to 12 days. And it's just so exciting. Another chapter in the history of the Marsh Pride. And when we say how connected we are to these lions, it's because each of these individuals, each of these characters starts off like this. A tiny little scrap of fur developing into these incredible big lions and lionesses. That's the excitement, that's the thrill, and that's the beauty of spending so many years following the life of these lions. We have just driven halfway across the Mara to catch up with our 5 cheetah boys. I still can't quite believe 5 male cheetahs together. It's almost unheard of. When we last saw this coalition, it was during the migration, and they were targeting the wildebeest, but that's way to the south right now. So what will they target next? Oh my goodness, they are so chunky. Compared with a female who's more waspish, they're big, muscular cats. I'm really trying to get into the individuality of these 5 cheetahs, because 5 spotted cats, to the untrained eye, they could look almost identical, but they're not. This one here, sitting next to the one lying down, he is the biggest of the cheetahs. Very broad head, big chest, probably weighs 50, could even weigh up to 60 kilos, a big cheetah. This is a tight team, and when they hunt, it's dynamite. Breathtaking. Now what they're doing is, they're not just using this as a climbing frame, they're using it as a scent post, they're marking it, they're peeing against it. They will leave a message which will tell every cheetah in the area who comes past here, we're here, the 5 boys. This is our place. Every time I look and I see these 5 cheetahs, I think this isn't possible. You'd think to yourself, some cats got out of a big cat sanctuary, but this is Africa, this is real. And this is extraordinary. We've got 3 lionesses, all with small cubs. On the left, you've got Kabibi. She's got 3 cubs, 3 of the 4. On the right, you've got Cloudy Eye. She's got 1 cub, a little girl, and she's letting that cub suckle. It's got the milk bar to itself. And in the middle, trying to stay out of trouble, is Dada. She's got 2 cubs, but they're still back across the reeds under that tree or amongst that dense bush. Now, notice what she's doing. She's got milk. Kabibi's cubs are trying to suckle from her, and she's saying no way. She's using her back foot, pushing them out of the way, pushing them away from her teats. And if that isn't a big enough message, then she's showing her teeth. Just gently saying, you know what, I'm a mum, I've got cubs of my own, that milk is not yours. Go check out your own mum. And so for the moment, you've got this fascinating situation of these three lionesses who enjoy being together, but who are pushing their own agendas when it comes to raising their cubs. I don't believe it. Kali, she has got a wound as if somebody had razored her face, has cut her almost from the corner of her mouth to her ear. What could have caused it? You know what? These lions are really struggling for food. They've been hunting warthogs. You don't get it right with a male warthog with those tusks. It's not the big curved ones. It's underneath. They're like stilettos. The lower canines, they're just like a knife, and those hogs will just swing their head sideways and they will cut you open. Whatever it is, it looks so painful. Look, lions are tough customers. They have to put up with the repercussions of injuries from prey and from fights with other individuals. So in her world, is it a major consideration? I'm not sure, but you can see she's uncomfortable. She's pawing at it. I mean, you know, she's going to be trying to lick it. She must be in pain with that. That is for definite. Now, what are we going to do about it? We always say you mustn't interfere. You have to let nature take its course. If you didn't think it was tough for lions before you saw this, I'm sure you will now. So often we talk about danger, jeopardy, the trials and tribulations of these big cats, but it's real. It's not us just hyping things. These lions live a very precarious life. Little cubs like the ones we're watching now, that we're totally invested with, 50% of them will not survive. It's an incredible journey that these animals take us on. It's a roller coaster. These are just extraordinary creatures. It's heartbreaking to see this. We've just heard word from our Canberra crew. They found Alari, our leopard mum, with a male. Now, what does that mean? She's got cubs. Is it a friendly meeting or what? Let's go and see. Last time I was with Alari, she had 2 male cubs, Ndogo and Makubwa, but they're independent now. No one has seen her new litter yet, so they must be tiny. But more importantly, with a male around, are they still alive? That is the biggest male leopard I have ever seen. He is huge. He looks almost like a jaguar, and his markings are so distinct. Black spots, rosettes, as if somebody had taken their fingers, dipped them into black charcoal, and just boom, boom, boom. Beautiful. Okay, here comes the female. So much smaller. And it's Alari. I can see the suckle marks, where she's been lactating, where cubs have been suckling, but does she still have the cubs? Because if she did, why is she soliciting the male's attention? At the moment, it's almost as if he's saying, you know, what's going on here? And a female generally doesn't spend time with a male. They lead separate lives. And the way she keeps going up and down the tree to the male, bugging him, pushing him, vocalizing, getting in his face. And you can see he's not really convinced yet. Okay, now they're on the ground. And she's going through the same routine, the same ritual. Just going round and round, trying to encourage him. I mean, literally thumping him on the head. It's as if he's just not ready. And she's wafting her scent from under her tail, literally right in his face. The weather's changed, a bittersweet moment. The leopards are mating, and that can mean only one thing. Alari has lost her cubs. We'd never seen them, but we knew the signs. When females have cubs, they remain anestrus for at least a year in the case of leopards, to give the cubs time to grow before they get pregnant with the next litter. So a poignant moment. The loss of her cubs, but the beginning of new life. When they finish, when the male withdraws with that spiny penis, which helps to actually stimulate ovulation, the release of the egg, ouch. The female just turns around and wants to clobber the male, and he does everything to jump out of harm's way. It's a sort of violent ballet. I reckon I've probably seen mating leopards on 3 occasions, but this, in the open, visible, at the edge of the river, now I know a lot more than I did. Now we can't be sure whether Alari will become pregnant from this series of matings, but if it's successful, in 90 days' time or thereabouts, there will be a new generation of Alari's cubs. And believe me, we will be back here recording their future, because that's what we do, and we love it.
So this is just what I wanted to see this morning. Last night when I left the cubs, I was actually really quite concerned because they'd obviously not fed for days and they were very lethargic and really not playing at all. So to come here this morning and find them bouncing around, right on track, fat little bellies, it's wonderful. I always think of a lion pride. It's made up of individual lionesses, but actually it is like one animal. They are so bonded, the lionesses. When one lioness moves, the other moves. They're in perfect sync together. And I think that's what makes a pride so strong. Claudia, she is such a nurturing mother. You can see she loves being with the cubs. I think for Kibibi, it's more, the cubs are my duty, my responsibility. But for Claudia, she's a mother through and through. There are moments where she just wants to play with the cubs, and she's calling them, making them come to her. She can actually pull them all the way around, take the cub's head in her paw and pull it under her chin. She's a very, very good mother. I think perhaps one of the reasons Kibibi and Claudia are staying so close to this area is because of Dada, and Dada having just given birth. It's an extraordinary thing that lionesses do this. They are such a strong bonded sisterhood. It sort of just goes without saying. They form these creches so that they're stronger together than they would be if they're alone. So there are a lot of things to think about when you're raising cubs, where to lead them, where's the safe place. So for instance, in the forest we have a whole troop of baboons that live here. And baboons are a nightmare. Obviously when the mothers are here, they're quite safe. But one can't help but think, what happens when the mothers aren't here? We can't get into the bush to find out how deep the roots are, how safe they really are. And it's dangerous. It really is tough to bring up these little cubs at the moment. It's certainly a story that is very close to my heart that I shall continue to follow.
You think ostriches are outrageous as a bird? What about the Kori bustard? My favorite bird of the African savanna. Is there any limit to nature's creativity? He looks like some Edwardian gentleman, all puffed up in his finery. He has got such a fine set of feathers. Just listen for a minute as the Kori bustard just blows up his throat patch to make himself look even more impressive. And then you see his bill moving. This deep resonant sound which just reverberates across the savanna. And that's how he signals his presence. And the reason for all this? There's a female. So he wants to attract a female so as he can mate. This is the breeding season, and significantly, another sign of how the climate has affected these areas. We're getting drier in the Mara. We only used to see Kori bustards to the south of here, where it was drier, in the Serengeti. I mean, what must the wildebeest and zebra, the gazelles think? You can see at times, as the male walks displaying with his tail flipped up, the gazelles look as if to say, what is this? Because these birds aren't here all year round. They move in here at times, often when it's time to breed. Dada looks just so comfortable up in that tree. And you often hear people saying, do lions climb trees? They climb trees when they can, especially like this, and when they've got cubs, sometimes just to take a break, get away from all that pestering from the little ones. Now you see what's happening here. Cloudy Eye, that's her little girl, her daughter. And the reason she's showing her teeth like that is because she doesn't want the other 3 cubs to try and suckle. And sometimes she will let the other cubs suckle, but on this occasion she's saying, no, I just want to be left alone. And you can see why Dada is happy to be up the tree. Cool, get away from biting flies, and stay away from the cubs. Now we've got another lioness. I think this must be Kabibi, by the look of it, trying to get up. And Dada's saying, you know what, there's room for 1, not for 2. And they really aren't leopards. So Dada's coming down. Now look at the way our little cubs doing just what adult lionesses and lions do, scratching, clawing the base of this tree. Oh look, now this is Kabibi's daughter. I know it's her. She's a dark little cub, and she's been watching this little cub, and she is a real little minx. She's just so adventurous. And what I can see now is the lionesses might have thought they had a good way of getting away from the cubs, but the cubs are growing. They're flexing their sort of, ability to do just this, climb trees.